a 22-point win is sweet, but that team stinks. Timberwolves go into Memphis and get a 22-point win over the Grizzlies, who are now 3-13 overall, 0-8 at home for historically the last several seasons, a team that has been one of the best home teams in the NBA. And they're missing like all their guys. Like you can't even blame them looking at the roster that they're rolling out there. They're missing probably 6 of their 8 best players. No Ja Morant, no Luke Kennard, no Marcus Smart, Steven Adams, Brandon Clark. I'm sure I'm missing more significant names. Like, it's absurd the people that the Grizzlies do not have, and it shows. Like, as much as we outplayed them, it wasn't that severe. It's just they didn't have the dudes to make shots. At one point, they were 2 of 10 from three-point range. They would make 8 more shots later to get to 27% from 3. Memphis has got to love that. But that's just a bad basketball team that Timberwolves went up against and smacked around. They got it from the jump, 15-3 run at the start of the game. Those were the first points scored. 15-3 was the starting score. We're up by 20 basically that entire one. There are some interesting points to talk about. Let's lead off with Mike Conley. A lot of times he gets kind of left off in these videos. I'm trying to save you some kitty booty hole. 1 second. Mike Conley. Obviously a longtime Memphis Grizzly. He was a stud for them. That's when I first became a superior of the man. He's a little different now, his game. He's not nearly as confident with the floater that really carried and established his career. Not taking a lot of twos this year and seems unwilling to go to that strength in his game, which is a little strange. But he's hitting the 3-ball like crazy. 6 of 9 on threes tonight. There's a stat with Mike where he's shooting so much better from 3 at home versus on the road. I think it's like an 18% difference or something. But you got the pseudo home in Memphis. He's very used to that gym. His dad was in the building, and he was balling. Also get 10 assists out of Mike. Not a ton of double-doubles out of him. Usually he gets good assist numbers, but pretty shy that he gets the doubles for points and assists. We get that one in this game. He was a stud, making a lot of plays for Rudy Gobert. Gobert has to thank him for a lot of his buckets tonight. Another note on Gobert, who wasn't spectacular in this game, but had good stretches. He is so good when he can guard a non-shooting player. Like, they got Biyombo on the Grizzlies side, who's not a big offensive threat and certainly not a shooter. And Gobert knows how to balance helping off of that person and knowing how much space he has where he can still recover and get a good contest. You see so often when the big is coming to help the ball handler, they toss that lob over him. Gobert this year not getting punished a lot in those scenarios, and he knows how to handle those, which I'm loving. Overall, though, the bigs were maybe the downer of this game because you get 5 fouls from Gobert, 5 fouls from Cat, 4 fouls from Nas, and the maturity of the big men is still a little questionable. Or maybe discipline is the better word to use for that. Karl Anthony Towns, too. All the bigs have 3 fouls going into the second half. Cat on the first possession of the second half gets an offensive foul, trying to go for a dunk, which at least he was trying to do something cool. But it was very clear Desmond Bane was set up there for a while. He's got to be smarter in those scenarios. I think his 5th foul was also offensive, and he seriously has to get better with that. Many of those fouls that these bigs picked up tonight, too, were on rebounds, either going for O boards or just grabbing people on defensive rebounds, and they were just a mess with the fouls tonight. They got to be better with that. They're pretty up and down with that over this year. Someone who I'm loving their rebounding is Troy Brown Jr., who I mentioned in my last video towards the end. He is probably the one going for boards more than anyone on this team. At least that isn't a big. And he's been really impressive. I hope that he remains in the rotation even when Jaden gets back. If it's a toss-up between keeping him or Shake in the rotation, I kind of hope we slash Shake. Because Troy Brown's hauling ass. He's shooting the ball better, and historically I think he's a better shooter than Shake as well. And he is trying so damn hard out there. It's going to be hard as a coach to not reward him with minutes for how he's playing out there. And I like when we go with a lot of size anyway. Like, I'm fine not having Shake be backup point guard, and we can have like Kyle Anderson, Slow-Mo be our backup point. He's steady, responsible, and I love having just overwhelming amounts of length to throw at people. Another shout out to Anthony Edwards. Great game here. Nothing that's going to like blow your mind statistically, but he was solid. I feel like this was a guard fueled game for the most part. Karl Anthony Towns had good scoring stretches, but couldn't keep himself on the court with the foul troubles. I think that's everything we have to talk about. Two extra facts that I noted. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is oddly horrible from the free throw line in game right now, shooting 33%, although that's only on 9 attempts, so it's not like we have a big enough sample size to panic. It's just, what? Why? And also, Timberwolves have had a 20-plus point lead in 8 of their 16 games so far. 50% of them. That's wild. We're 7-1 in those games, so we've had the first one being the Hawks loss, which was devastating. But since then, we've been good. This is a team that historically blows leads, and that's been a big concern. So we're improving with that. That's great. Finchie's on top of the timeouts like crazy in this one. By the way, my cat's scratching at the window if you're hearing these sounds, but the video's ending anyway. Yeah, Finchie's on top of it, liking what he's doing this year. We're the 1 seed in the West. Gotta love it. On to the next.